Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you, wherever you are in the world listening to this podcast. Another version of Antigua Parish League podcast, and this is the SSLS version, meaning showcasing sports and our local skills. Before I introduce my guests, I would like to welcome you aboard and feel free to call in whenever you can. We will be happy to accommodate you. This evening we're going to be talking a little bit about cricket, and we're also going to be showcasing one of our young entrepreneurs who is doing some fantastic work. The name of her business is Your Embroidery Solution Plus. She'll be on the second half of our show. But first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm your host, Trevor Simple Simon, and this afternoon we have a well-known Antiguan administrator, known not only in Antigua but across the Caribbean. Kuma, welcome to this Antigua Parish League podcast.
Thank you very much, Trevor, and dear listeners. I'm feeling extra special to be in the company of royalties. I mean, when you have a world champion in the kind of game that you would have played in mind sports, especially Warwick, I'm overly excited, just like when I'm in the company of people like Smith and these guys. So, thank you for having me.
Well, we're happy to have you, Kuma, and we want to talk some cricket today, Kuma. Because as you know, cricket in the Caribbean is on a downward spiral. And in Antigua, we want to make sure that we play a part in getting the Caribbean back on track to where it belongs in terms of the pinnacle of world cricket. So I want to talk about West Indies cricket first with you, Kuma. Where you think we're going wrong? Because we've been turning the corner for many years now, and we seem to be taking one step forward and two backwards. So, as an administrator, you're part of the setup. What are we doing wrong, and how can we correct it?
No, that's a big question, and obviously, Trevor, you know, person that been in sports, however, I'm sure that you will accept you are in management position and you are will accept. I hope you'll accept that there's certain things that collective responsibility must dictate. From the time I know myself, I'm getting involved in anything where other people are involved, when I was trying my best to respect other people's feelings and ideas and what.
Oh, my apologies on whatever decisions and things like that, because whatever the decisions are, whether you agree with it or not, is collective responsibility. So, West Indies cricket, I don't think that, not because I'm a director at CWI, I'll tell you that you can't be blaming the directorship at CWI for what's happening with West Indies cricket. Yes, it may sound kind of funny because when you're at the top, people expect that you must take the blame. But I say that to say that it has to be, Trevor, a holistic situation from the bottom up. I'm sure a lot of people may not remember that you were an accomplished opening batsman. And if my memory serves right, I think you represented Antigua.
Yes.
Right. And I'm sure if you would be playing these days, this time, you would have been playing for West Indies, no doubt about that.
I have no doubts about that.
Yeah, some of us just came the wrong time, and we have to also accept that. Yeah. But for those of us who probably would have played reasonably okay and feel that this would have been our time, the reality is people had to set the foundation, and some people are going to do things just like how you would have set the stage on Huawei. Somebody's going to come in the next life, maybe better than you. Maybe they may not reach that. Maybe they may not reach that level. But they may be. But
he comes after his mighty.
Right. So the reality is, I think that if you just look back a little bit, when cricket was very, very competitive in the leewards, and I say the leewards, right? Because why I like to go to that, because there was a time when the tournament in St. Kitts were very competitive. The tournament in Nevis were very competitive. The tournament in Montserrat were very competitive.
I remember that.
So what would have happened then? Well, you all know Antigua was always very competitive. I mean, you had at one point in time, I think it was 16 first-class teams along with the Parish League setup. So what would have happened then? When Antigua comes up against St. Kitts and Nevis especially, not leaving out, well, it can't leave out Montserrat because at one point in time, Montserrat had a very strong team with the Corriette and George Allen and Jim Allen and so forth. You know, so that level of competitiveness across the leewards alone would have given, and we can't leave out the windwards because at the time before we went to leewards, it was the Combined Islands. And then so the tournaments in Grenada and Dominique and St. Lucia and St. Vincent were also very competitive. So to come up with a Combined Islands team at that time, when we really got an opportunity to play for Combined Islands, you know you would have done exceptionally well, because when you have 8, I think that time we would have had just about 5 territories in the leewards who used to compete against each other. If my memory serves me right, it would have been Antigua, St. Kitts, Nevis, Montserrat, and Anguilla.
Yeah.
Right, those were the first 5 teams. It was 4 at one point in time, and then Anguilla did come in,
And so some good cricketers as well.
Right. So when you had the level of competition at that time, when you get to a Combined Islands team, obviously you know that you were the top of the top, the cream of the pudding.
No question.
Right? So the thing is, because of the demise of domestic cricket in the territories, the Nevis, I'm sure you know at one point in time, they did not have any competitive cricket in St. Kitts for quite a while.
I know.
I want to give kudos to my good friend, President Carlisle Powell in Nevis. Carlisle is doing a real good job there. Carlisle has brought back cricket big time there in Nevis now, and they're doing a wonderful job over there. So what I'm saying, and President Dennis now in St. Kitts also doing a reasonable good job there. Anguilla struggling a little bit to bring back cricket. I think that St. Martin, we need to give a lot of credit to St. Martin. St. Martin plays cricket nearly every day.
Really?
Every day, yeah. I think they have some very, very good youths. So the point is, if after this pandemic, we can have a level of tournament across leewards that can produce some reasonable good players that push up places in the Leeward Islands team, then I think that moving up the ladder can be better.
Well, you mentioned something that I want to basically piggyback on, and that is the structure. The structure, what I think is needed, and is something that I've always advocated, you must have at the youth level some organized competition, be it in school or even if it's outside of school, but there must be an organized level of youth talents that they can progress from, let's say, under 12s, under 17, and then you go to under 19. Let's say 3 levels. If we put that structure in place, and at one time it was there, we should be able to bring cricket back on track, because it is a major problem across the globe right now. And I was just following the situation there where South Africa playing a test match against Bangladesh. And believe you me, a number of the cream of the crop players are not there. They go on IPL. So, I'm wondering if the lucrative offers that are there in the one-day circuit is really hampering test cricket in a big way.
Well, listen, I think if we continue to be real, right, we're going to have to accept, Trevor, that T20 cricket is not going nowhere. It is here to stay. And make it even worse now, T10 is hitting hard on the back door, where people are making tremendous amount of monies out of T10. I mean, a man go to a T10 competition for 3 weeks He's coming out smelling real sweet. You know, some of the guys will tell you, listen, yes, we love test cricket, but I mean, if I'm playing 5 days of test match and only come out with 30,000-40,000 US dollars, or even 50,000 US dollars, and you go to a T10 tournament for 3 weeks and you're coming out with nearly $1 million, $800, you know, it's going to be a challenge to keep people away from that kind of situation, because at the end of the day, you know, sportsman life is a short span. I mean, you can get injured tomorrow,
sure,
and that's it for your career.
Yeah, that's
and career is over. And the way in which some of the associations are set up, you know, dog will eventually better than you based on certain things. So what I would say to you, and I think that's one of the things that the ABC, I think I've mentioned it on many programs, and I'm one of the persons who are not afraid to take the bull by the horn. I'll say, call a spade a spade. I think one of our weaknesses, notwithstanding that over the last couple of years we have had on the 15 tournament, on the 17 tournaments, I think we need to do a little better in that regards in terms of training. The thing is, Trevor, that structure has changed, things has changed, and changed big time. Some people still want to believe that from a volunteer standpoint you should do this and this is voluntary, and that, listen, volunteer as far as I'm concerned was he dead, bury in concrete and bury out at sea. And if you cannot understand that, you have to change things. You can't have somebody running around, look money for this tournament, look money for that, and you're paying everybody else all to yourself. I think that
people must be compensated.
Must be compensated.
And I have no qualms about that.
And there's a lot of people who cannot understand that. They still believe this is voluntary and voluntary. To be honest with you, I'm sick of and tired of, fed up of that, because all the work that I've put in this nation between sports and culture, I still have to go to AP every month, and if I don't have the funds to do that, you know what will happen. So, as you rightfully say, some compensation.
Oh, yeah.
We must definitely look from the bottom up, and one of the things that I think from a local standpoint need to be done. I've had some discussion already with the Ministry of Sports, vis-a-vis Joaki and Ridley Jacobs, because Heather was on vacation at the time, that between the Cricket Association and the ministry has to come together and devise a situation where youth cricket must be handled by both in a holistic and a together way. And I say that because we at ABC, we don't have coaches, right? When we bring coaches on board, we have to find stipend for them. But all these coaches basically work for the ministry. I must tell you that I'm not overly excited about the structure at the ministry.
Well, let me ask you something. You don't have access. I know there are a number of coaches around the island. You don't have well, how should I put it? You don't have access to them, because I heard you mention that you're doing some coaching with the female team.
Yeah.
And I know there are a cadre of coaches on the island, and you're high in administration, and I was wondering where you find the time to coach.
Yeah, well, you see, remember the administrative thing, as I tell each other, it's not a job, you know, because the way in which I structure whenever I'm involved in anything, I'm kind of hands-on, because the reality is we're the association, and as I say, in this modern times, we only have one employee, right? If you look at CWI structure, you have a whole ton of people working for that. Yeah.
The ACA?
Yeah. Just the office clerk, you know. So what kind of happens, I kind of, notwithstanding being the president, end up like a CEO kind of things, because of the way in which things are moving so fast and the kind of things that are happening around with kind of improve with the way in which things are done, right? All of that comes from a gratis standpoint. You may get some compensation for a telephone or travel or something, but nothing to talk about.
No, that needs to change.
I'm telling you,
folks,
you know,
the structure needs to be changed.
Exactly.
Folks must be compensated.
Exactly.
Look, nowadays, I mean, look at the fuel prices. Now you go from point A to point B, you burn what, maybe 2.5.
Well, the reality is, Trevor,
mean-
after the fuel prices, you know now $100 worth of gas now becomes 75 EC dollars, right? So that's just the reality. But the point is, I think that we need to have a better understanding between the ministry and the associations, and I say associations because I don't believe it should be just cricket alone. It should be football, netball, basketball, and things like that. But I will speak specifically of cricket, and I want people to understand that no matter how you beat around the bush, football is the most watched sports locally.
In the globe,
But cricket has made Antigua what it is.
That's true.
Viv Richards, Andy Roberts, this Ambrose, and all these guys, Eldine, Kenneth, Winston, come right down the road to Devon Thomas, etc., etc. We can't get away from that. Recently, you have Jimbo, and you have Azari, and you have Hayden Walsh, right? So at the end of the day, you have Devon Thomas. So we got to accept that. But I think we need to pay some attention to, as you mentioned, the youth level, because at the end of the day, one of the things that you can see clearly is that when young players get to the top, there's still too much work for the coaches at the top to do, and that should really not happen. People coaching at the top should not basically be coaching cricket. They should be coaching mind.
Exactly.
Should be coaching mind. They should be coaching being confident, back yourself about what you're doing and things like that, from a motivation standpoint. That's what really should be happening.
I fully agree with that. The technical aspect of it's supposed to be ironed out.
Minimal. It should be minimal. I mean,
when a man reach test cricket level, let's say.
Yeah, when you reach test cricket level, you may see a little kink that you may recognize. Listen, Trevor has been always doing this, and now I'm seeing doing that. You put him in the net for a few and say, hey, listen, I think that you fall off a bit in the way in which you have been doing things, and let's do some work on that.
Right.
But it
the
should not
coaches
be.
will point it out. You have to take personal responsibility.
Exactly.
And know your weaknesses and your strengths, because nowadays there's no secret about anybody.
No secret.
Somebody could pull up a film and watch you and see your tendency and so on. So there's no secret. So if you have weakness or weaknesses as a player, the onus is on you to take time off, go in the nets, you have bowling machines and so on. I don't understand how players in the Caribbean now are struggling terribly handling the short pitch ball. I don't know if you notice it.
Well, I more than noticed it, Trevor. I mean, for years now, from our standpoint locally, I've said to our cricket committee for a long time now, gentlemen, listen, this foolishness about one short pitch ball per over, just let's remove that rule. I mean, local rules are local rules. I mean, I can remember playing against people like Jensen Joseph, Van Hungry Walsh, Cleve Joseph.
Exactly.
Jensen Joseph alone, I remember facing about 5 overs of Jensen Joseph at Newfield, and every one of those 5 overs were all bouncers, all short pitch ball. I mean, when you come up against Van Hungry Walsh, you know you're getting the smile, but the only thing that happening, you better can pull a hook or duck. It's 3 things: pull, hook or duck. Well, 4 things: pull, hook or duck are out.
You have to learn to do all
And we
those
have
things.
had some very, very fierce battle, myself and Van Hungry Walsh, Gunnar, Jensen Joseph and things like that. But it is what it is. I think that we fell in the trap when the world had brought in this 1 over bouncer short pitch rule to cripple the West Indies cricket team. That time when you had the fearsome fast bowlers of the Malcolm Marshall and the Joel Garners and the Holden, and later on in Sir Kirtley and Cuddy Walsh and things like that.
One former cricketer who always advocate against that is Ian Chappell.
Yes.
Ian Chappell always say that it is ignorance.
Total foolishness.
Some batsman will be glad for you to be bouncing.
Yeah.
I'm
But
not
you
going
see,
to
see what happened now these days.
Yeah,
If you look at what's happening in world cricket now, when you look at an Indian team, in the past, when you hear you're going to play against India, you know it's all spin. No, India has fast bowlers
Manufacturing them like-
backing up our batsman when before time them short pitch ball gone the boundaries over and over and over. You know, so it's just the reality of the situation. There's a lot of work to be done, but again, the reality is also, Trevor, that nothing can be done without money. And if you look at the teams around the world that are in the ascendancy, they're spending a lot of money. India, let us not even mention India, because the only people that might have more money than India is the Vatican.
Well, the thing that I noticed with those countries, look at Australia for instance. Australia said that they've been planning for the last 5 years to win the male and female World Cup. Now, that wasn't a short-term plan. They planned that and they did the work, and what happened? They got the results.
Yeah,
And their female team looked invincible. So structures matter. This is what I was saying. And from our standpoint, Kuma, I think each club in Antigua, maybe we may need to narrow back down the number of teams to let's say 8 first-class teams.
I think 6 would be a reasonable a reasonable call. And as a matter of fact, you know, again, Trevor, listen, I don't want to be blowing no highlight, but I've been talking about this for like about the last 10 years, because I've been talking about it even before I become president of the association, that we need to find a way to have a 16 tournament. The reality is that let's agree that the Cricket Association has a responsibility of getting people to participate. But at the end of the day, I think that we need to have a tournament. And I've put that structure out for a while, and I hope that I'll get the buy-in from the Cricket Committee and the association to finally accept that we have what I would call the ABC Parish Tournament. So what will happen? Let's say, for example, Liberta Grounds, not Liberta Club, Liberta Grounds will host a team called St. Paul's. King George will host a team called St. John's, etc., etc., etc. Pickett's or New Winthrop will host a team called St. George's.
It's similar to what the Parish League structure was in the past.
Right. So the reality is, at the end of the day, it becomes that level of tournament that now you know that the best players are going to get an opportunity. So let's say, for argument's sake, you know that we have 10 teams in the ABCA program. You may have 6 or 8 teams in the Parish League program. So what will happen? The management and coaches of, let's say, St. Paul will be responsible to go and find players. I mean, everybody that plays in the Parish League tournament may not want to play in a tournament like that, because you know some of the guys in the Parish League tournament are up in a certain age, but you still have some young guys in that area that may want to. But it will be up to that management team to go out and seek players for the franchise. Well, not franchise, I don't want to say franchise, but for the parish team. You understand? And the selectors must also watch that tournament. And you may even see a guy in the school cricket setup and pull him into one of those structure. You know, so it's a lot of work to be done, but again, I want us to be absolutely clear. Nothing can be done without money.
Finance.
No, you can't. You know, you can't have people asking to come put in 4 hours of the time, 3 hours of the time to drive to the destination, as you rightly said. Now it's 15,000 something cents for a gallon of gas. You know, so I think that there's a lot of work to be done. It cannot be an association alone, and it cannot be a ministry situation alone. It has to be a holistic situation. So much to a point that the clubs that take part in any tournament, whether it is the Cricket Association tournament or even the Parish League tournament, I think the time has not only come but overdue that these teams need to have a second team or even a girls team. What I think we need to understand from a girls or women's standpoint, we have to be innovative. You do not have to, I don't think you have to have a 11 woman team to have a competition. You can have a 16 women's tournament, a 18 women tournament. You understand, and it can be competitive and people will compete. But what you need is participation,
Definitely.
and participation will tantamount to growth.
Okay, Kuma, I'm going to come back to you. I would like to introduce our second guest this evening. This evening we have with us Delika from Your Business Solution Plus. And Delika, welcome.
Thank you.
And explain to the people who you are and what your business is about.
My name is Delika Spencer. My business is Your Embroidery Solutions Plus. We specialize in apparel branding and personalization of a variety of items, from kitchen towels, hats, bags, embroidery like this. This is a two-third pillow. We do masks as well. So
What that one is?
a two-third pillow that I made for my son.
Okay,
So you put the tooth here,
okay.
this is where it takes the tooth and leaves the money.
Wow,
And this is his Easter basket that I did.
pretty cool. Mhm.
So you can do bath towel sets, you can have your uniforms done, almost anything that you can think of, we do.
Wow. Okay, and what about the apparel part? You sell clothing as well?
Not exactly, no,
Ah.
but if you come and say I need some polos for my uniform, like what you have on.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't sell clothes.
Okay, but you can source certain materials or certain items for.
I can sew masks.
Okay, understand. So, how did Delika get involved in this type of business? What prompted you to go in this direction rather than being an accountant like your dad or something of that nature?
Well, to be honest, a few years ago I was on Facebook just browsing and I saw an ad for a machine. The guy was closing his business and selling out everything,
Okay,
and I contacted him, and that is really how I started this business with no background knowledge,
Okay.
experience, so anything I just.
so it was one of those chance situations.
Yes.
Wow, wonderful. And how long have you been doing this type of business?
This year would make 5 years.
5 years. Wow, time flies. I remember you did some work for me some time back, and I actually was speaking to you on the phone and didn't realize it was the same person I was speaking to. That was strange. But how is the business going?
At the moment, business is not bad because my busy period is normally the tourism season.
Uh-huh.
So then by let's say next month, that is when I'm going to have to start to try to push to get other jobs because that's normally when it gets slow for me.
Well, this is a medium by which you could get all your followers and people across the globe to look at the quality product that you're producing and patronize you. So, welcome, and whatever you have to share here, you can, because the globe is your stage is not only Antigua, so you're showcasing your product to the globe, to the world. Do you have someone that work with you that's understudying what you're doing here?
Not at the moment. However, my son and my little cousin, they are very interested in learning. My son is 7, he'll be 8 by the end of the month.
Okay.
And my cousin is 9, she'll be 10 in June.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the two persons who's really interested in learning what I do.
Okay. And in terms of the groups that have been having these expos here in Antigua, the local groups
Right.
of the cultural makeup, I'm so proud to see so many Antiguans doing things with their hand and making business of their own. Are you part of that group? And what sort of exposure you're getting on the local side
Well,
of business?
I normally participate in the Arts West Marketplace.
Okay,
That one is
I
on
heard about
May
that.
the 1st, the next one is May the 1st.
Mhm.
And then after that, the next one is on my birthday, July the 3rd.
Okay.
And I was at the Wings Sports Club.
Oh, you did
They're on
Sunday?
dawn, yes.
That's at Christ the King.
Yes, it was at Crescent.
Okay,
So I do several pop-ups when the opportunity comes around.
okay. And how can people get in touch with you? Your business is, you're doing your business from home?
From home, yes. You can contact me on 775-6403. You can find me on Facebook at Your Embroidery Solutions Plus, or you can find me on Instagram also at Your Embroidery Solutions Plus.
Okay, so you do online business.
Yes, I do.
Great. Okay. Akuma, you know, I'm back to you. I have a passion for cricket. I mean, I love Warri, but cricket is really my passion. And I really want to see cricket get back on track, starting from our local situation here in Antigua. And one way I think that we need to get that back on track is to, I don't know what's happening with school cricket now. I get the impression that that too has been put on the back burner.
Well, my understanding is that school cricket has been played now. Just before I continue, I want to congratulate the young lady. And I'm going to tell you something that when I was growing up, they always say be careful with the name you give your kids, because sometimes if you give them a bad name, things can happen bad for them. I think you have a very good name for your business, and it works out to be Yes Plus, right?
Yes, and that wasn't a coincidence.
Right, yes plus. You know, so when you hear Yes Plus, I think that you have a paved road. You will have to determine which one of those roads that's going to be your destination. I would want to suggest to you that there's a lot of, what they call it, farmers market that is going on all around the nation and so forth. Open yourself to that, because I mean, every opportunity you get to sell the business, and especially when I see young people like you trying your best to do whatever it takes to make you survive, it's important for us to give kudos to you. So I just want to put that in. But yes, Trevor, school cricket, as I said to you, we have had some discussion with Evans Jowaki Jones, the deputy person there at the ministry, along with Ridley Jacobs, and I would be more than happy to learn the level of experience. And let me just say this, my passion was never to be no president and them kind of things. I've been saying it over and over. My passion is about coaching and so forth. Fortunately and unfortunately, I've been in the administrative side of things for a while, and I have some level of understanding. And I believe the ministry need a lot of help in that area. I hold nothing against Ridley, he's a good guy, but I believe personally that he needs some help to make things better. Cricket now, even at the school level, you can't just look at it that the guys are going out. You have to look at it as a product. And once you agree that is a product, then you must be able to put yourself in a position to sell the product and have people buying into the product.
No question.
Gone are the days that you just put out the school cricket and it is what it is. We must find a way to get all the schools uniformed, look uniformed, you know. So at the end of the day, I think that they're putting in some work, but they also need help to better understand how they can make the product better, and that's what I think can make it better, because at the end of the day too, that will give some impetus to the ABC to assist in whatever way they can to make it better, in terms of maybe the time has come for us to have some kind of youth weekend tournaments, not just in the week when they go to school, but as I said, we would have done that on a number of occasions from the Cricket Association standpoint. We would have had a tournament, on the 15th tournament, ABCE, East, West, North, and South. Is that good enough? Maybe not, because we need sessions also where we can have the guys training, not just only training from a cricketing standpoint, but bringing different people from time to time to have discussion with these young people. Because listen, gone are the days where we only played football and cricket. Everything was much more competitive. You have, when we were growing up, you know, you had one TV in the home, everybody gets sit down and gather around the TV. Now, your son is in his room with the TV, your daughter in her room with the TV.
They don't even need the TV, the smartphone.
They had it, exactly, apart from the TV, they had the smartphone, they had the games, and so it's very competitive. So even though you have a youth that may be playing some cricket, from the time he gets home, sometimes he's so distracted by whatever else with the technology, you know. So it's a challenge, and I think that we can be up to the challenge if we just do the right things and get the right set of people in a position to continue to just put the things out there that can make us better. One thing I would like to also say, Trevor, I think notwithstanding, time has changed and certain things has changed. I mean, preparation of teams and so forth may have changed, but I personally believe we are still forgetting too many times what made us great. Some of the things that made us great. We tend to just take up the whole bottle of water and throw it out the door, you know. So I think that we have to look back and recognize this. This can still work in this time. This can still work in this time. Everything may not be able to work in this time because, you know, it's modern times. The things has really changed, and you have to accept that.
But there's certain basic truths about the game.
Yeah, you can't get
it. Doesn't change, you know, regardless of the times we're living in.
Most definitely.
We definitely have to find a way to get our cricket back on track because, I mean, we're far off the ball right now.
Well, you know, if you look at the Under-19 World Cup, it was clear that we have some good Under-19 players. You can see that they just want work. Once they put in the work, once they get the time, you know, more training time, more match time, and so forth. But when you really reflect on what took place, you will see that again, that the territories on the world stage that has the money and spending a lot of money definitely look better than our team.
One of the things I've observed recently watching the IPL, the type of wickets that you're seeing in India. I'm watching a game the other day and the pitch full of grass. We in the Caribbean have been producing some feather beds. What can be done for the region to come up with a plan to bring back the pitches that have pace? That is one of the reasons why our batsmen can't play short pitch balls anymore.
I'm not sure it's the pitches why they can't play short pitch ball anymore. I think it's the rules. They must be able to listen. We have played on flat pitches that, you know, man goes still one in and bowl some short pitch ball. Whether the ball come off quick, I come off slow. But when you would have bought into the rule that only one short pitch per game, and you check what you see now, as you rightfully say, India, like they have a factory of just manufacturing fast bowlers, and that was never the case.
Right.
So, and you know, when you sit back and hear the kind of things that they have done, what they did, they really studied us and took everything from us. Meanwhile, we then brought in people to coach our team that told you about the head must be this way, this must be that way, and that must be that way. When in the real days of us dominating,
the natural instinct
is what was working.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that you would have still end up with a Viv Richards or, you know, all this natural talent. I mean, we had them in abundance. But if we had get people to understand what they were doing, the way in which they were doing it, I think we would have been much more successful over the years. If you look at it clearly, if Bumrah was in the Caribbean, there's no way that he probably would have been playing Test cricket, because somebody would have been of the opinion that his style cannot work and take him to the next level. And that is because we end up, unfortunately I have to say, I think we end up being brainwashed by some coaches or some people that we would have brought out of places like England and so forth, and say that your head must be this way, your elbow must be this way, and them kind of foolishness. And we knew from growing up, when a man bowl them bumper, you know, we don't have no time for worry about your head being way. Once your eyes see the ball, you know you're going to find a way to hit the ball where you want it. Right? And if it works for you, it works for you. It may not work for me, but whatever would have worked for me would have had to strengthen that. So I think that we got ourselves caught up in an awkward situation. I remember vividly one hierarchy of Australia were telling me when they started to look at the cricket again, one of the person that is study catching ball in the slips. Up to today, I think they still use so Richardson of
he's
taking
one of the-
catches
one
in
of
the
the-
slips. And what excites them about it, why they had used him, as the person told me, is about one of the only, if one of the first, if not the only person that you saw diving forward in the slips to take slip catches. That never used to happen.
Yep.
You know, if the ball don't come to you, don't catch it. But Rich had set up in a way that once you nick that ball, if he have to come forward to catch it, he's going to do that.
He's going
And
after
that
it.
was one of the examples that they use to teach people
Yeah.
catching in the slips.
You see, the Aussies, they put a lot of planning into action. And the fact that they delivered, they worked towards it and told you the aim was to win these 2 World Cups, and they have done so convincingly too. It shows that if you plan, you can succeed. And we have a lot of work to do here in Antigua and across the Caribbean to bring our cricket back to the level where it's supposed to be.
Again, Trevor, we can't emphasize that. Yes, but it can't be done without money. I mean, if you even study in India, remember Dennis Liddy was one of the persons who set up in India and has given tremendous support to India, and just end up help wheeling out fast bowlers like
Yep.
So it's about money. It's about planning. We can't get away about planning,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, also I think that from the youth level, we need a more comprehensive and a more a situation where we can have some real good dialogue, good discussion, have people in the structure that is going to really want to do what they love in order to make it work. I mean, for example, we have someone the caliber of Eldine Baptist here in Antigua and Barbuda. Eldine is about the highest level coach that we have in Antigua and Barbuda, but Eldine is sitting around. Nothing much is there for him to do. I mean, even from our standpoint at the ABC, we're just not in the position to pull him in and find this level of finance to give him something to do. I'm saying, is that okay that for someone of his caliber who would have played for West Indies, represented, coach all the way down in South Africa and so forth, but here in Antigua, and we have a lot of youngsters, he should be very much part of
the setup.
the setup from a ministry standpoint. I
completely agree.
He's not a sir like the other guys, but he would have been, maybe I think it was about 5th player who would have played for West Indies, and with his status and caliber and so forth, and the qualification, the certification that he has, it's really sad that he's just sitting around and nobody want to listen to have him in a position to assist the youngsters.
And
that's
man,
just real.
He knows the game inside out.
Knows the game. He knows the game. When you hear people like Sean Pollock and so speak about Eldine Baptist, you know clearly that he has made his mark in South Africa. Jack Callis and all these guys would tell you clearly that this guy, understand and knows exactly what he's doing.
He's well respected across the
globe, But we here in Antigua, again, as I say, we just find that we just need to step up to the plate and get people in the right areas and just try to make things better for the whole setup.
Great. Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a while. Delika, you have some products here that you want to showcase to the public. So go right ahead and tell them what these products are about and how you can acquire them.
Okay, so we have some kitchen towels. You can personalize them. You can choose what model and so on you would prefer. So it doesn't necessarily have to be one of the designs that I have displayed here, but you can choose your own sayings.
So folks can bring, what you're saying, folks can have their ideas and bring it for you to materialize, to put it into action.
Right. We have some cap sets. And again, you can personalize it to your liking if you want to do your business logo on it or you want your name on it, whatever your preference is, you can. And the mass are optional now, but I've still been receiving orders for mass, so that's another option as well. Again, you can put your logo, you pencil pouches. This one is supposed to imitate a camera. The embroidery work. And then I think I showed the Easter bag earlier, the Easter basket. And they come blank, so you have the option of getting it blank as well. And I have some I was supposed to walk with, but I forgot. With the bunny ears, Easter's coming up, so if your child is interested in getting into the baskets with the bunny ears and so on, you have that option. And then this is
Do you have a photo of that you could show the public? The bunny is
I don't have to dig.
okay.
I'll try to pull it up. I have to really search. And then this is the tooth fairy pillow that I was talking about earlier as well. This is the pocket. No, this is the pocket where you would leave your tooth. And the tooth fairy takes the tooth. And it leaves the money. And you can have it personalized as well. That's my son's name up here. And this is quite a few years old. He's been using this for a while, so it has a bit of wear and tear.
I like this mask, and I believe in this saying:
Thank you.
live,
Love that.
love, and laugh.
Oh, and my polo, my uniform that I did.
Yes. Nice.
Yes, plus.
Yes. To say the plus is to say that we're not limited to embroidery.
I know, I know,
We
I
have
know.
other stuff that we sell that is
I know.
general items. But we're displaying embroidery items today.
Well, I see some products that, well, you did some work for me some time
Yes.
ago, and I have to come and check out your business to see, because I need to get some more hats done. I need to come back and check to see what
New hats.
no, the colors, if you have new colors available that I can have a look at and patronize. In terms of your threads, where do you order them from? Are these local, or you have to import them?
There is, I don't think there's anything that I am really able to source locally
Okay.
that will be able to keep the costs down. Oh, fabric. I do get my fabrics, some of my fabrics locally.
Locally?
And there are some specialty fabrics that I do bring in to give, customers options. So everything is not the same that is here. So I do have a lot of character fabrics, a lot of different type of prints that you would not find locally. So but I do get some fabrics locally. But like the towels and so on, I won't really be able to get those
I
locally.
understand. The African? Okay, going. Okay. This? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we're good. No, one of the reasons why I asked you about thing, I know you carried some African prints, African clothing some time ago when you were in the area just over on Newgate Street. So I was wondering whether your materials that you have to do your business was also sourced from
I
of
do
the
have
African
some-
continent.
Some of them I do use the African prints, but not the majority. Not everybody wants African print stuff because the
Right.
African prints were specifically for the store, which is Giselle's African Heritage Store.
Oh, okay.
Right. So those are mainly for the store, but I do have some for myself.
Okay. Great. So, what's next for your embroidery solution plus?
Well, one, I would like to expand eventually. I'm trying to work towards getting a new machine that
Okay.
will make production a lot easier. The one that I'm looking at is a multi-head. So, whereas right now I'm only able to do one item at a time, if I have a multi-head, it depends on how many other heads I have. So if I have two heads, I can do two at a time. If I have four heads, I can do four at a time. If I have six, I can do six at a time.
Wow.
Right, and that would cut down production time greatly. So whereas something might take me 3 days, I might be able to knock it off in a day.
Okay.
Understand?
So
That is what I'm trying to work on, is getting a new machine, because I think the one that I have, it's lived its life, it's done its time,
okay.
you know? So that is what I'm working on.
Well, what about the costs? But in situations like that, you pay the cost up front, but you reap the benefit at the back end.
Right. The cost, the one that I was looking at first that I had to just kind of put on a back burner
Oh,
was like almost 40,000 US. Right, so I did some
that's a big
research.
investment.
I know.
Mm.
So I did some research and I did find some more reasonable machines. So I found one that's like maybe 10,000
Okay.
US, which is a big jump from 40.
Yeah,
So
that's a big difference.
Right.
Mm. Interesting. Okay. Kuma, I'll switch back to you again. They just recently concluded 40 over league was a success. I must say, I watched a couple of the games, not all the games, but I was able to watch a few of the games, and there was a good following in terms of people coming out to watch. I think if we get cricket back in the community, that the crowds will come back. And once you're playing, once the quality of cricket that is being played is attractive, the people will come out and watch.
Yeah, well, I don't think that we had any issues at all. The last 2 years, the Super 40 has gotten a level of promotion that we try our best to make sure that we give it that level of promotion. The clubs, I think, has put in some real work, knowing that we have come out of the pandemic. We have not played any cricket since I think was last year March, because last year March is when they had stopped the cricket and went into lockdown and so forth. So I think the clubs has to be given a lot of kudos for the level of cricket that they played coming out of the pandemic, thus making the tournament as exciting as it was. The good thing about it that people have been following and support the teams from the preliminary round, from the very first set of matches. I went on quite a little bit and I saw a lot of people watching the matches. I remember one day I went to Bethesda and I was really excited not only to see people from Bethesda supporting the game, but we had a lot of persons from St. John's who were visiting over in Bethesda. I actually left Bethesda and went over to Liberta, and there was a real good gathering over there again. I can't remember who the teams were playing. It was Liberta Empire, and I think the game at Bethesda were Bethesda New Raindrops. Some persons that I saw at Bethesda, why I knew that the game was, that people were watching and followed the game, because the persons that I saw in Bethesda wasn't just only from New Raindrops. They were from different places, you know. So that tells me that we were getting out there. We promoted quite a bit on the media and via Facebook and YouTube and so on. It continued to be a challenge because obviously we still believe that some of our local grounds need to be improved. How that can be done, I don't think that is anything that will happen overnight. But I think that some of the clubs, with all honesty, Trevor, need to put in a little more work. And I want people to understand what is happening down at Liberta, right? And let me make it absolutely clear. Myself and Kenneth does not see eye to eye on a number of things, right? Because sometimes I find that he has way of doing things that everybody have ways of doing things, but sometimes I just not in agreement. But at the end of the day, the kind of work that he puts in down at Liberta to develop that area and see to that the cricket continue in a specific standard, I think that nothing is hard for people who are running the clubs to take a leaf. Take a leaf. You may not want to take the whole book, but take a leaf. You know what is hard if you see somebody doing something that makes sense and that can make the sports better than what it is at the present moment, and take a leaf and try to put in the work. Some of the people, as I say, they just seems to, season comes, so it's only season time that you see they're doing the work. It can't happen like that. There always has to be some background work that continue to go on. So the management of these clubs and so forth need to get up and understand that if they're going to do anything better than they're doing, they have to get up and put in the work.
The club structure is extremely important.
Yeah, it's very, very important.
And the kind of work that Kenneth has done over the years is tremendous. I mean,
Absolutely.
You may not agree with him on every point.
But that's one of the problems, Chuck.
And this is what the democracy is. You can't agree with everything.
Exactly. And if everybody agree with everything that you do, something wrong with you.
Exactly.
You know.
But the structure.
Yeah.
If a lot of the clubs in Antigua had a structure similar to Liberta,
Even half. You know?
it would help. But that's where it starts. You need strong club structure. When you have strong club structure, the level of the cricket is, and the standard is much better.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think from the ABC standpoint, we're going to have to put a number of things in place to get the clubs to understand if they really want to be on board. There's certain standards you're going to have to put in. As I mentioned earlier, and listen, we can't continue where we just have some clubs playing cricket, but there's no support to the clubs. And when I say no support, there's no youth team. So I'm saying that Liberta must have a youth team, Empire must have a youth team. All the teams should have a youth team. You know, I mean, I'm sure you've played cricket in England, and you have first team, second team, a senior team, you know, and it makes a lot of sense. That's how we're going to see some growth. Would it happen overnight? I can't tell you that it will happen overnight, but we need to start someplace. And there again, where I believe that it's going to be very important for us to understand via the ministry. The reality is, it doesn't make sense to have a cricket coach or a football coach going to work for 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, you're checking into work 8 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't make any sense. What I think needs now to happen, the ministry must come on board with all the sports and say, okay, listen, you're working for the ministry, so school sports starts at let's say you're doing some cricket work from 2 o'clock because the school finish at 1 or something like that, so you're doing some training from 2. Hey, when you finish training, you're going to Empire to do some work, or you're going to Rising Sun to do some work. So instead of coming to work from 8 o'clock, your job might start at 12 o'clock and then 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And I think from a cultural and sporting standpoint, that's the way it ought to be. You can't be boning a man, a cricket coach, coming to sign in to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. What work is he going to do?
So basically, you're saying that they're idle time for
exactly
in those periods when the students are occupied in class
with the academic
coaches. So, but that is something that should be easy to sort out. You know?
Yeah, you know, except for maybe who are PE teachers and so forth that have maybe some physical education that takes place at a specific at a specific period, because you may have a period as say PE. You know, except for that, I can't see a cricket coach going to coming to check in to work at 8 o'clock. I just think that the whole ministry situation and so forth, not knocking anybody, but it's just time that they understand if we're going to take sports to the next level, from the school to the community to leewards to West Indies.
Definitely.
We have to start from a situation like that where the coaches must be able to work in the schools and also be working for a club, because listen, some clubs are not going to be able to pay no coach. I doubt any clubs in Antigua will be able to pay any coach to coach any cricket team. If they don't pay them some kind of stipend, maybe $25 for the gas or something like that, how far that can go. So I'm saying, if you have the coaches, they're already paid by the ministry. The ministry must now
they need to be fully utilized. They need to be utilized properly,
because you're paid. And at the end of the day, if you really look at the results that we're getting, obviously something is wrong, because we're not bringing through people at the rate and the quality that you would have expected. And in the past, let us agree that things that done away in the past cannot be the same thing as before. When we used to play, we used to have a passion, a certain level of passion. You come home from school sometime before you even deal with your homework, you know you're going to come home from school, you're going to go to your community training, and then when you get home, you hustle to do your home chores and catch up on some homework and ready again tomorrow. But that level of passion was there, and I think people need to understand that we can't continue to harp at what happened during the good time, because I just believe that there was a period of time when everything was just at a certain level. I mean, the cricket was at a certain high, the music of the Caribbean was at a certain high. I mean, that was the time of when the Michael Jacksons was excellent, Bob Marley was out there, Viv Richards, and everything just was in the ascendancy. The whole music industry was at this level, and that I believe would have been about what I would have called the Black Power era. The Black Power era, so we have to understand that there's still talent around, but talent alone in this day and age will not cut it, as you said earlier.
That's how to harness it is
just
the problem.
Just for example, from an international standpoint, I don't know if you know this, but there's a place in India, the people that work at that place may nearly take up the whole of this block. But all they do is to provide data of cricketers everywhere around the world. If Australia want to know something about Trevor Simon playing for West Indies, they send down to that, and they say, okay, you need Trevor Simon, it costs you $15,000, you pay $15,000, they send over all the different clips with Trevor Simon, and that's why when you said what you said earlier on, people just do not understand. That's why you see some young players. That's why you see some young players come in. Bam, first 2 innings, you may see them make some quick runs. After that, they struggle to make some runs because them boys already get the footage, get all the data, watch the weakness, and say, okay, if you bowl him outside the half stump early shot, he's just about to probably get out from wicket keeper to gully.
Yep.
So that is out there, big time in India. Everybody knows where to get those data. West Indies use it. All the teams in the world go to that company to buy footage of players when they want to work them out.
Wow.
So time has changed.
Yep.
It has changed, and whereas you used to just think in your head, boy, Trevor Simon to drive the ball too well, you know what I mean? That in your head, but at the end of the day, at the international level now, and that's why I'm saying to you that we need to put in much more work, quality work from the bottom level up, because you cannot continue to have guys get into the highest level with so much deficiencies.
No, I mean, this way planning is key, because without proper planning, I mean, I mentioned it before, but when Australia would have made a pronouncement that their aim is to win the next 2 World Cups, and they successfully set out to do it. I was listening to the captain speaking in an interview after the match, and she was saying, the kind of hard work they put in behind the scene is tremendous. Alisa Healy made back-to-back centuries. I mean, she scored the highest one-day innings in the final, surpassing Viv Richards and somebody else. I can't remember who, but tremendous achievement.
See, one of the thing is there, again, we have to also remember too that for us to probably get to that kind of level, again, it's going to come back to finance and coaches in different areas. Because, just for example, okay, Australia is one mainland, so Australia may bring the team together. So you're going to be together for 3 months, you're going to be together for 4 months, right? And everybody probably come down to Sydney or whatever, and that's where they are for that kind of period of time. All girls come back to the Caribbean, somebody goes to Jamaica, somebody goes to Trinidad, somebody goes to Antigua, except when you probably bring the team together for maybe a month or so in one area. Now when these girls, or players in general, go back to their respective territories, who works with them? What are the plans? Do CWI pay somebody to say, okay, listen, we have international player Trevor Simon in Montserrat, he has to, somebody must make sure that he goes to the gym, somebody must make sure that he gets in some net sessions. If the program saying that he has to catch 500 balls per week, who's going to make sure that he catch 500 balls per week? If the program says that he has to bat 500 balls per day, who's going to make sure that he gets that he bat 500? Somebody must be monitoring, and at the end of the day, again, all of that tantamount to finance.
Yeah.
So the planning could be there, but at the end of the day, again, if you look carefully, you see the territories who are spending the real monies are the one in improving. If you look at Afghanistan cricket is improving so fast, but again, they're spending enormous amount of monies on academies and training centers and things like that. You know, and that's just the reality.
What has happened to the high performance center in Barbados? I don't hear much talk about that these days.
No, I don't think too much happening there now. The high performance center right now, as it is Coolidge Cricket Ground, St. John's, Antigua. I know that people are advocating to. You can't just have one high performance center. As far as we are saying, that Guyana should have one, Barbados should have one should be in Jamaica, Trinidad. Now again, where the leewards and the windwards have issues again, which again is going to come back to money, because leewards is 8 territories, windwards are 4 territories. You start preparing a team. Well, fortunately, because of the professional setup, you know, you may have a group of guys, and the home territory or the preparation territory for Leeward Islands is in St. Kitts. So you have a group of guys that will be in St. Kitts on a consistent basis. But guys who are just on the fringe, what do they do? Who are looking about them? You know, and how do you look about them? You see what I'm saying? Because the reality of the situation is, notwithstanding that you have some 15 contracted players, you have a number of players who have the opportunity to what we call pay for play, pay to play. So they only played based on the matches if they get an opportunity to play a match. So what you find happens sometime, a contracted player may have some issues, fitness, sickness, or whatever it is, and you call in up outside player. How fit is he? You know, when you pull him over to the fitness test, then you know he's not really up to the level and things like that. So it's a challenge, and a real serious challenge, especially for Leewers more than the other territories, because of the one mainland. If every time you want to do a camp, let's say you want to do a Leeward Islands camp, then you know you have to think about moving somebody from St. Kitts, Montserrat and Nevis, and let us be real. You know, you had worked for late. I mean, I remember the days I would get up 6 o'clock in the morning and ask late if they have a seat, and I fly into St. Kitts for a week and I pay $320. Now you're talking about $1,000 plus to get to that destination for 10 minutes ride or 15 minutes ride. So it's definitely a challenge. Finances is the key. It is not easy to go out and seek these finances on a consistent basis. People do love cricket, but at the end of the day, a businessman, bottom line is just what it is. You know, if the mill are not turning fast enough for the profits to seem what it is, and you know, when business people make projections, sometimes they tell you they lose, but they really don't lose. It's just that they have not met the projection. You know. And it's just the reality, and we just have to be real with what it is and recognize and understand that if we're going to do better than what we're doing, especially from a local standpoint, we must be able to employ people and put people and hold people accountable for the preparation and the development of what is happening.
What kind of support do you get from CWI in the local structures across the Caribbean? Do they support the cricket? Do they offer assistance to the various communities across the Caribbean?
Well, the difference, the problem is, unlike football, I mean, you know, FIFA provide, I think it's every 2 years, if my memory serves me right, some quantum of money to every association in the world.
Right.
In the world. Unlike unlike FIFA, ICC probably provide CWI with some level of funding, but that funding goes to territory and not islands. So you will find like
when you say territory,
so that's what I'm coming to. So territory now, as I mentioned before, Leewards is one territory, but Leewards have 8 islands that make up that territory.
Right.
So, if just for argument's sake that the franchise system or Leewards were supposed to get like 25,000, just for example, let's say $20,000 a year, a month or whatever from CWI. You're already starting behind the 8 ball because you have 8 territories. How do you find yourself by assisting the territories, the 8 territories? You know, especially when you have a franchise team, you know, and things like that. So it's a challenge. Barbados, if Barbados were to get $25,000 a month or however it is, you know, let's say we were using the football system. If you were using the football system, obviously you would probably find yourself in a much better position because ICC would have been handing those monies to each association around the world and not territories. So it's a catch-21 situation, a very awkward situation, because whatever monies Leewards will get, they have so much responsibilities to take care of the office here, take care of people there. Hence, there's no trickle-down effect. Let me just put it that way. So every territory in the Leewards basically on their own fighting to keep the head above water.
Right. I can see the challenge in the Leeward Islands.
Leewards and Windwards.
About financing territories within the Leeward
Leewards and Windwards really, and I know that we have been advocating for a while that given the circumstances, just for example, if Leewards doing a camp or Windwards doing a camp, it's not the same as a Jamaica doing a camp, Trinidad, or whoever doing a camp.
Because you have to fly people in.
You have to fly people in. Notwithstanding that in Jamaica is a big place. A guy might have to come down from Montego Bay to Kingston and so forth. It's still one mainland. He can even get there by bus. He can get there by car. To move, if you're doing a camp in Antigua, you have 4 guys coming from St. Kitts. Right away, you know you're already looking down $5,000 for airfare. Yeah. Then you're bringing somebody from Angola, somebody from Montserrat, somebody from St. Martin, somebody from USVI, somebody from BVI. It's a challenge, a very, very serious challenge. I've advocated via Leewards for some time now that I think, as much as people want to believe that government shouldn't be involved in government has to be involved, especially when it comes to national teams. And I'm saying to you that Leeward Islands Cricket Board need to put themselves in a position that get the territories to understand that you must have certain level of registration fees paid into Leewards on an annual basis.
But that is not in existence?
It is not in existence because I'm saying that you can't be asking the territory to pay $1,000 on somebody. It has to be like the government. You say to the government, listen, you must pay into Leeward Islands $20,000, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 per year, whatever it is. And let us understand that government find monies to do whatever they want to do, and you better believe it.
That's true.
Whenever they want to do, they're going to find money. So if you're really serious about the sports, as I say, unfortunately, the structure is not like FIFA. Football associations around the world sit pretty okay by the whatever they get from FIFA, whether it's annual or biannual. If Antigua Cricket Association were in the position like the Football Association, where you get, I think it's something like $1 million every 2 years. I'm just saying what I think I understand. Maybe that may not be the figure, but my understanding is something like significant sum. Every year, every other year. I don't think we will have any problems at all functioning in terms of the development line and things like that, and get a lot more done. But it is just the reality, and that is we can't get away from it.
And the corporate community can only do so much.
So much or no more. And in a small territory like this, everybody's basically running to the same corporate. You know, netball, football, everybody looking to the same corporate to some level of survival. I have to give Cool and Smooth big up every time because I really don't know how he does it. But when it comes to sports in general, Cool and Smooth always find the time to just make sure that he make whatever contribution he makes to all the sporting fraternity in Antigua and Barbuda. It's a lot of work to do. It's a hard job, but somebody have to do it, and I hope that people continue to just give him the level of support, because he would have spent a lot of money in sports in Antigua and Barbuda. So we got to big up Cool and Smooth, and even
Talking
ACB, who has been with Parish League for what, some 40 years,
43 years,
43 years, you know,
plus.
I mean, you know, so these kind of sponsors, you have to really big them up.
As you mentioned, Cool and Smooth, what is the situation with the tournament that they sponsored over the years?
Right, so that tournament has not been played for 2 years, but definitely I know that the tournament will be on. If my memory serves me right, I'm sure that they don't mind me mentioning the date, because it's there already. It's from the 25th of April to the 7th of May. I can't say much more about it, because we are not the one that really handle the tournament. The tournament is handled by Cool and Smooth, sanctioned by the ABC. Whatever they ask us to assist with, we try to make sure that we do that, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the tournament is run with some level of quality. And when it comes to the cricket side of things, you want to make sure that the cricket is played at a reasonable standard, not just from playing on the field, but the organization. So we give them a lot of support in terms of that, but the tournament is totally up to them based on the agreement. As I said, we have sanctioned the tournament, and we give support to the tournament.
But it's going to be back on track. So
Yes, the tournament will very
that's
much be on
refreshing
track.
to hear, because
Yeah.
that too have attracted large crowds over the years that it has been in process.
Most
And
definitely.
people look forward to it, because they're able to watch the game after work.
Yep.
And it's something that people used to look forward to. So I'm happy to know that that is coming back.
Definitely.
Delika,
Yes, sir.
your Embroidery Plus.
Embroidery
And
Solutions.
Your
Plus.
Embroidery Solution Plus. And yes, what can the public look forward to in the future of any new product line?
The new product line that I plan to work on is pencil pouches for kids and clutch purses.
Okay.
That's what I want to work on for
For
maybe
children.
this summer. So that is what's in the pipeline in the near future.
And what about mass production? Any plans for any mass production going forward?
Not exactly, to be honest, unless it's an order.
Okay.
But to, let's say, make 100 of something and put down at the moment, no. I'm going to be honest, no.
No. Well,
But if somebody orders 100 items or 200 items, then no problem.
okay. So basically, a lot of your business is generated based on the ordering.
Right. Most of the business is
From
from,
the public.
orders.
Well, Kuma Rodney has left us, and we're happy to have him for the time that he was here. I had a couple more questions for him, but he had to leave. So, Delika, your business partners, are they local? When I say business partners, you would have some contractors that you source your materials and so on from. What is the level of cooperation that you have on a local level in that regard?
Well, remember I did mention that there aren't too many things that I get locally. My thread, I order my thread, my stabilizers, the bobbin cases, caps. The only thing I get the shirts locally, the polos, because I did bring in polos some time ago, and it really didn't work out too
Okay.
well. It was very expensive to
The
bring them
polos.
in. Right. So those I would just get locally. It's easier for me. It's less stress, and to
Are you
stock
saying
polos is
that
kind of,
they're cheaper getting them locally?
there's not a big difference. So let's say it might cost me a few dollars more, not enough to make a significant difference.
Okay, I see what you
Right,
mean.
because then to stock polos is a bit more complicated than to stock hats. Now, suppose I want to keep black. So I have black in stock, but then you come and you want blue. I don't have blue, so I have to go and order blue in the sizes that you want, and somebody else come and I still have black, but somebody comes and want pink. I don't have pink, I have to order that now. So it's a little bit more complicated. With caps now, it's easier to get a wide variety of caps, wide variety of colors. It's mostly one size. I do not have the same issue with shirts.
Okay.
So caps I always have in stock. As a matter of fact, I have an order on the way. But the shirts, it's a bit easier for me to get those locally. And even sourcing them locally now is a bit difficult because my supplier was telling me that, the prices have went up, so they haven't been able to get as much as they used to. So if they're buying on a far larger scale than I would have been, and it's difficult for them, imagine me.
I can
You
well
understand?
understand that the pandemic has caused a strain on the economic market here
Right.
in Antigua.
Right.
It's a serious situation. Shipping in general and cost of living has
Oh, trust me. I know.
escalated in a astronomical way. It is difficult, I know, because we were just trying to source some material to make some wire boards, because there's a demand from the public in getting wire boards. But when you look at the cost of material,
I can imagine.
how much can you charge for a wire board when you have to pay $500 plus for a length of wood that could only make 3 boards? I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's a challenge all around, the cost of living, but it's tough times, but we have to push through it.
Indeed.
Indeed. Is there anything else you'd want to let the public know before we close off? What else the public needs to know about
Well, I can.
your business, your embroidery solution plus?
I'll remind them how to contact me. You can get me on 775-6403. You can find me on Facebook at Your Embroidery Solutions Plus, or you can find me on Instagram at Your Embroidery Solutions Plus.
And the other thing you mentioned, these products that you're displaying here are not the only products that you produce.
No, I do blankets as well, baby blankets. I've done baby onesies. If you have a baby shower coming up or a birthday party, I've done shirts, like, birthday shirts with the name or character or something of the sort. So, it's a wide variety, not just what I have here. This is just a small
Sample.
display, right?
Great. Well, let me take the opportunity to honor our platinum sponsors. And they're as follows: ACB Caribbean, Simply Smarter Banking. For over 4 decades, ACB has been partnering with the Antigua Parish League, and we are very thankful to them for the support. So we are asking the Antiguan public, when and wherever you can, to continue patronizing the ACB Bank. Seco Pharmacy, for all your medical and pharmaceutical needs. It's Seco Pharmacy, your one-stop vitality store to keep the body in a healthy and vibrant state. They are located on the corner of High and Temple Street. And last but not least, Plumbing Electrical Limited, PEL, with a wide assortment of plumbing and electrical fittings. Whether your needs are retail or wholesale, Plumbing Electrical Limited has the quantity and quality to meet your expectation. And Plumbing Electrical Limited, they are located bordering on the Potters and Herberts Community Main Road. We want to thank our listeners this evening for joining us, and we want to especially thank both our guests, Delika Spencer and Kuma Rodney, President of the Antigua Cricket Association. I'm your host, Trevor Simple Simon, signing out until we meet again next Tuesday. Be blessed. Take care.